Hello and blessings, beautiful people. So it makes me very sad to have to do this video, but I need to make you aware of something that is just happening at this moment in time. Earlier on last year, I think it was August of last year, I asked for assistance in managing, doing the administration for my Australian Witchcraft Facebook group. I have had a very big, heavy type of year, and a lot has been going on personally and professionally, and I wasn't able to manage and admin my beautiful Australian Witchcraft Facebook group, which I am the original creator of. I was able to nurture that group until it was in the thousands of subscribers or likes or group members, and it is currently the largest Facebook group for Australian witches. So it's something that, you know, brings me a lot of joy, a lot of pride, and it's my ethics and my ethos that led it to grow so fast. So I had a strict Australian and New Zealand witchcraft policy, so no business links, market Mondays, think witches, giveaways, all sorts of things, and a lot of members made their way over to my personal Patreon. So it ended up being a really beautiful and authentic revenue stream for my business, and it is a branch of my business. So I have left an admin team in charge. Recently, I received one intense report about one of the admins. This wasn't the very first time that I'd received a complaint about this particular admin. I'd received some really offhanded comments, some things of that nature, and they accrued. They just accumulated. But because I thought that I knew this person, I did not take it to heart, because I did believe that in some of these cases, the actions of this particular admin were in the best interest of the group. But I have noticed now, you know, friends talking to me, members of the Australian witchcraft community talking to me, just in conversation, that the energy of this particular admin has changed quite a bit, and the energy and the flow of the group has changed quite a bit. And then I got this official complaint, and I contacted this admin person and I said, I'm considering putting the group, just archiving the group until next year, because I do feel that this is a very big year. It has been a very intense year for many people. Emotions are high, even if people don't realize it. It has been a very stressful and intense year, and I myself, outside of the Australian witchcraft community, have been dealing with quite a bit. So I can honestly say that we all just need a little bit of a break. So I was considering archiving the group, which doesn't delete the group, it just sort of freezes it. And I was going to then re-archive it around the February period of next year. And so the admin person that I told this to kind of got, you know, upset about it and instantaneously blocked me. Removed me from my own group and then blocked me. She believes that she has done enough work between August of last year and this year to claim ownership over a branch of my personal business. So the thing that I don't believe that any of these admins understand is that Australian Witchcraft is actually a branch of my personal business. And so it is a legal branch of my personal business, which means it's a revenue stream for my business. I am an Australian business owner. I have a registered ABN, which is an Australian business number. And when I go about, you know, doing my tax and my audits, these are things that are considered, right? So I get to see where my revenue streams are. I get to see where people are coming to me from, and I do get a lot of business from Australian witchcraft. It's part of the reason why I created a community like that. It's for Australian witches like myself, because there is such a small presence as far as Australian witches go when you compare to the rest of the world, the Southern Hemisphere. So I have been removed as admin. This is my intellectual property that they have in fact stolen. I have had to take this matter into... It's going to rain on me. I have had to take this matter very seriously. I have had to speak to lawyers. I have had to look at copyright. I have had to look at intellectual property law. And it looks like this is going to be such a big issue. So what I wanted to do with this video is state the following. Australian witchcraft is no longer, I legally have to say this. My lawyer advised me that I legally have to say this. As of 2 days ago, The Australian Witchcraft group is no longer in my access. It is not something that I can advocate for. What is going on in there right now has nothing to do with me. I have been removed from this group by the current admins, and I do not have access. I can't even search for my own group on Facebook. So with that said, whatever happens there in that space cannot be thrown back at me, because I have no control over what is happening over there at this moment in time. Now, make no mistake, what they are doing is in fact illegal, because I am a business and that is part of my proven revenue stream. So this is intellectual property theft, and it is a serious legal matter, and I could, if I wish to pursue this with my lawyers, go after them for damages, because this is a part of my registered business. As an online content creator, as an Australian business owner, as a public figure, that group is something that is associated to my business name. It is something that comes back to me, to the point where people send me messages about what happens on Australian Witchcraft, where the complaint was made to me. I am that person. I'm the figurehead for that group, and it has been taken from me by a person that I trusted, and it has led to this situation that we are currently in right now. So it is very sad for me to report this, and I must say that this is probably something that I should have seen coming. The admin in question, or the admins in question, but the primary admin in question, was somebody that created a great deal of stress for me in my coven space. Now, this is something that I also legally need to address, because it is somewhat of a legal matter as well. We had an issue with a coven member posting bigotous material on her personal Facebook page. Now, it's important for me to say that as coven members, we are often, Facebook friends. So if you are a member of my coven, then we will be Facebook friends, and you will be Facebook friends with some of the members of the coven. Now, this person, this rogue admin, as I will call her, she took offense to it, rightfully so, because it was sensitive material, it was racist, it was defamatory, but it was not posted in our coven space. So I didn't actually know about this. Had I not gone to this person's Facebook page, I wouldn't have known. But when I did, because the rogue admin let me know that this was happening, and she was very bothered by it, and she felt very strongly that this person should be removed from the coven, I really had to face a very serious situation, because freedom of speech is something that I must respect. And had I removed this person from my coven because of what they posted on their personal Facebook group, I would have been legally liable. I would have been legally liable. It was a question of freedom of speech. I didn't have to like it, but it was something that I did have to take into consideration, because I don't need to like what a person says. I don't need to agree with what a person says, but I need to respect the right of a person to say what it is that they want to say. And since they weren't doing this in my coven, it put me in a very, very difficult situation, because I couldn't hold somebody accountable for what they were saying to their friends and family on their personal Facebook page. I couldn't hold them accountable for that in my coven space, because I run a business. So as a business owner, that would have reflected poorly on me, because as a business owner, that is not something that we can do. We can't hold people accountable for what they say in their personal circles. We just can't. So I can't deny a person employment or hold them to ransom for what they have said on their personal Facebook group if they are not defacing any kind of public space, any kind of workplace space, or any community aspect or space. So it put me in a really difficult position, but in the end, I felt like it would have been something, it would have blown so far out of proportion had I not taken action. So I took my time thinking about this. I had to speak to my lawyer. I had to really look closely at the implications that this would have if I did say, hey, you've been caught being a bigot in your own personal space, essentially in your own home. You've been caught being a bigot in your own home, and I'm going to now remove you from this space And that's why, because I'm holding you accountable for what you say in your own personal private space. So it was one of those situations that I could have been sued over. And yet this rogue admin was very insistent that it was an emotional decision. It was a righteous and emotional decision. Just remove the person. And well, yeah, if this was just a hobby for me, if this was just, if it was something where it wasn't associated to my business and it wasn't a revenue stream for me and it wasn't something that I had to be legally liable for, then I would have handled things much differently. But because I do run a business, this is the fact of it. My coven isn't business, but it goes under my ABN number. So I have to treat it in such a different way because part of it, yes, is business, but part of it is personal. So it was the personal part that I am attached, that emotional, personal community aspect that led me to removing this bigotous person from the space, blocking them from my Patreon and writing them a very uncomfortable email to explain why I had taken the measures that I have taken. This was not an easy process for me, and I had to think about this very carefully because I could have been sued. That's the fact of it. But nobody, not one of these individuals, thought about the implications that it would have had for me had I just gone and followed through with what they desired, which was just remove this person. They're a bigot. It's unjust. It's not right. And I agree with all of those things. But at the end of the day, I could have been sued. I could have been sued. I would have been liable. And so these same individuals, would they pay my legal bills? Would they front the money had I been sued for following through with their wishes? So it wasn't an easy thing for me. Throughout all of this, our rogue admin was at the very head. She was the figurehead for this mass exodus. That's how I call it. That's what my lawyer called it. So that's what I'm calling it, the mass exodus. She rallied people under this grounds of this is unethical, it's unmoral, this is not a safe space, etc., with absolute zero regard to the implications that it would have to me, both legal implications and financial implications. So for her, this was just like I was an evil person for not following through with her desire and making sure that I just removed this person with zero regard for this person's rights. And that actually made me sick to my stomach, that somebody was trying to force me to do something from from their emotional perspective, like this is immoral, it's not right, etc. And I agree, there's no room for bigotry, but I cannot deny someone's freedom of speech. I cannot legally deny someone, and I could be liable for that. I can't say that enough. Because I am a business owner, I am liable. This is something that I have to think about. So part of the issue, the crux of this matter was both emotional and it was something that relates to my business, which is something that I have to be very, very careful. This is what I do for a living. This is how I pay my bills. This is how I support my children, of which I have 3 of. This is the money that I'm using to pay my loans if I have any, or to build a home. So this is my livelihood. And the way that I am treated about these types of issues, like it is something that is frivolous, like it is something that's unimportant, like it is something that doesn't demand a great deal of thoughtfulness, is absolutely ridiculous. And it is a complete disrespect to me as a business owner, as a content creator, and as a human being, as a mother, as a member of society, as a member of community. So don't I have a right to take my work seriously? Because I believe that I do have a right to take my work seriously. And I believe that because I pay taxes, that because I have lawyers, that because I have accountants doing work for me, that I must be extraordinarily careful with how I conduct myself in any capacity whatsoever. So I can't just be emotional and remove somebody from my business space because of the implications, the legal implications that could have for me personally. Like, this is a litigious society and I have to cover myself for absolutely everything. The types of decisions that I've made in both of these instances have been decisions that have come to me, that have landed in my lap, that have been explained to me because I have had to speak to legal representation. So this is no small matter. What this individual has done to me personally is absolutely unconscionable, and they have absolutely no idea the legal implications that are here in place and also the moral implications that are here in place. You can't just steal someone's intellectual property. That group was created by me. It would not have existed. They would not have been able to admin something that had not already been created by me. The Australian Witchcraft group had previous admins, beautiful friends of mine, who ran that group beautifully. It accrued the thousands of numbers that it had, and everything went beautifully over there until I handed it over to this person whom I genuinely trusted and thought that I knew. Now, this individual has conducted herself in a manner that I believe to be quite detrimental to my business, and I feel very hurt and very betrayed by this individual whom I'd left in charge of this space for me. I never in 100 million years thought that they would take my space from me, which is essentially a branch of my business. This is probably something that they haven't actually thought about, but because I run an online business, every single group that I run, every single thing that I create, say, and do is traced back to me and is a part of my business. So it isn't personal. This isn't a hobby. This is not friends. This is not casual. It is not something that is simple. It's not a simple issue. This is a matter of intellectual property theft. This is a matter of my business name. This is a matter of my business. This is a matter of slander. This is a matter of just horrendous disrespect. This is just horrendously disrespectful. And at the end of the day, I now have to go through all of these hoops to ensure that this doesn't have a negative impact on me. So what happens over in the Australian Witchcraft group right now cannot be traced back to me because I am no longer in charge of that group. And as such, anything that happens there cannot be legally attached to me. So as a result of this, I have to make this declaration, unfortunately, because it is now a legal matter. And I need to be very, very careful moving forward that whatever happens over there is not traced back to me, because my name, my business name is associated to that space. And I'm reading everyone's comments as they're going through. There's a lot of people here. The fact of the matter is that being an online content creator does leave you quite open to all manner of abuse and assault and disrespect. And it is very unfortunate that this is a side effect of being an online content creator, an influencer, a videographer, a blogger, a writer, a tarot deck creator. You know, I have lots and lots and lots and lots of opinions being thrown at me all of the time, and lots of people trying to tell me what I should and shouldn't do, how I should and shouldn't conduct myself. And at the end of the day, all I can do is make sure that I am being respectful to both myself, to the law, of course, that I have to operate under, and to my family. That is what I have to do. My customers are beautiful customers. Many of the people that I deal with in my business space are really, really lovely people. The Bonestone created a new wave of customer. Not all of them have been very pleasant to deal with, but the majority of them have absolutely been very pleasant to deal with. And, you know, it's the nature of the beast. The moment you sell something, you get all sorts of people. It's customer service, folks. At the end of the day, this is customer service, and you get all kinds. You know, if you've ever worked in customer service, if you've ever, you know, worked in any kind of capacity with the public, you'll understand that doesn't matter who you are, you're always going to be confronted with difficult people. It's just the nature of the beast. And at the end of the day, Crystal M. Taylor, remove yourself from this chat, please. You have been abhorrent with your comments. You have been incredibly disrespectful to me. And I just need you gone from my space. You are now harassing me. This is considered a harassment. And if I must send a cease and desist letter to you, I absolutely will. You need to go. You need to go. You need to go. Just get out of this space. I'm not dealing with you at all. Just get out of here, please. I've had enough of you. You've been incredibly rude and unkind, and I've just had enough. I'm not dealing with you anymore. Just get out of this space, please, and leave me alone. Leave me alone. I've had enough. You've said your piece. You've messaged me multiple times. You've been rude and obnoxious in comments. I don't have time for you. You need to get out and leave me alone. Should you continue this, I will make sure that I send you a formal cease and desist letter, and you will be liable for all of this rubbish that you have been throwing at me. So get out. Just get out of this space. Good grief. I've had enough. I've had enough of bullies. I've had enough of people just mistreating me and feeling as though I'm not a human being and I don't have feelings. I have absolutely had a gutful, and I honestly don't believe that I deserve this type of mistreatment. It's a question of ratio, people. I am a single person that has opened myself up as a digital content creator to hundreds of thousands of people. So the type of abuse that I expose myself to is exponential. On an everyday basis, you as an individual wouldn't have to be subjected to even a quarter of what I do. But I open myself up because I am a digital content creator. And as such, it is one of those situations. It's one of those situations that I have people harassing me all of the damn time. And so I don't actually need this situation now with this Australian Witchcraft Facebook group. I don't need this situation. And what's going to happen is I am absolutely going to, I'm going to be out of pocket for this, and I will have to go for damages. So that's the reality of the situation. This is going to cost me money, and it is something that I will then take extraordinarily seriously, because this does affect me professionally. It does affect my business. And this is something that is absolutely illegal. Illegal. It is intellectual property theft. I am a registered business and an acknowledged digital content creator in Australia. This is happening in Australia. This is intellectual property theft. And there is all kinds of obligations that I must fulfill as a result of that. So that is the situation. And as such, oh, Crystal, you're just showing your true colors here, mate. You're showing your true colors. Everyone can see you, and everyone can make up their mind what they think about you. It's as simple as that. I've asked you to leave. You have now refused to leave, which means you are in fact harassing me. And since you are going to harass me, it needs to be defined. Okay, so that's exactly what you're doing. And harassment is, of course, illegal. It's illegal. It's illegal for you to harass me. So please go away for the last time. Just go away. Simple as that. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm very, very upset about this. I'm very, very upset about this. Oh. Oh my God, she's just, yeah, she's obviously an unstable person because she can't catch the hint, or she might not speak English. Anyways, I'm going to leave it at that because this has obviously been hijacked by, you know, some immoral speaker. So I've said my piece. This is something that will need to now be followed up with in a totally different capacity. And I really genuinely feel absolutely distraught about this. This is something that is so upsetting to me because the person that is at the very center of all of these issues is somebody that I had considered to be a friend, somebody who I had trusted with my space, and somebody who has absolutely disappointed me in the most extreme ways and has really not even for a single second thought about how this impacts me as a business person and how I could in fact be liable had I just followed through with what she wanted in the case of bigotry, and now with this whole booting me out of my creative space that I created. I created the Australian Witchcraft space. I administrated it for a year and a bit, maybe longer. I don't even remember when I created these types of spaces. I have been an online content creator for 10 years now. So what I've created is still in place. It's attached to my name. As such, if it's attached to my name, it's also attached to my business. And since it's a business issue, there are legal actions that I can take over this matter, and that is exactly what I want to do. I'm activating the phone tree, Alora. I'm activating the phone tree. And so that's it. That's all I have to say. And I really do think that the issue in question is one that is a very, very serious one, and you know, and it is something that does sort of implicate me in many ways, because since that Australian Witchcraft group is essentially attached to who I am, the only reason why it became as popular as it did, even before the current admins took it over, was because of me, was because of my energy, my creativity, was because of my vision, my intellectual ideas. It was all because of me, the original creator of the group. Many Australian witches acknowledged that the group was mine. They acknowledged that I was the founder of that group, and they acknowledged me as a professional in my field. So it does have professional implications for me, because now, since I can't access anything in that space, they could in fact be saying and doing anything they want. They could be smearing my name, and I would have absolutely no idea, because I don't have access to one of my creative spaces. So this is now a legal matter, and it's as simple as that. And so if you are a member of the Australian Witchcraft group, keep this in mind. I am no longer in charge over there. The group has been, in fact, stolen from me. I have been removed and blocked from my own creative space by the 4 current admins that are in place over there. Each and every one are now under the scope, and I will be contacting them in a legal manner. And as such, this is all I can say and do. Please don't hold me to ransom for what goes on over there. That is outside of my ability to control now. I am not associated to that group anymore, and it has now become something that is quite serious. So with all of that said, I'm going to leave it at that, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye.